A reference we can use when exploring the trail shoulder movement in swing. This is very much from the kind of target line view, so very much almost the caveat in some ways. When we move in transition, that trail shoulder, as you see here, very evidently, say through, for example, through the arrow now, will actively start to kind of move more laterally towards the target. So a wonderful kind of target line reference is that, crudely speaking, if we take a line down from that kind of trail shoulder, then when we kind of get back to kind of impact, the shoulder's pretty much back to its start position. So almost in that, using the kind of 3D references we can see here, we can see that kind of red trace, the red trace being the path the shoulder moves back on. So that's the path the shoulder moves back on in that very three-dimensional way. You see the trace of the orange path, and this is the path or the three-dimensional path the shoulder moves on and down. So when we get to impact, which is where it turns yellow, you can see it clearly now gets back to its start position. That's certainly aligned with, say for example, players have got wonderful rotation kind of through that rib cage, into the pelvis, through the spine, that very active rotation, for example, through that kind of rib cage pelvis, which displays it in that kind of trail shoulder. So a reference we can use almost in a very playful way, just kind of placing your hand on your kind of on that trail shoulder. When we get back to our start position, ideally as you move through backswing, avoid the hand moving, so as best you can. So take a view on this. If you place the hand on that trail shoulder, as you move back, keep that hand in the same position. When you get back to the start position, allow the trail shoulder, be very precise, almost the humeral head, the kind of front of that kind of top of that shoulder, the long humerus bone in some ways. Once again, hand on trail shoulder. As you move through swing, kind of best you can, keep the hand in the same position. When we get back to that impact position, allow that shoulder to return back to its start position. Almost to provide the balance in some ways. And what you can see often in players, say for example, kind of, lots of thrust in the pelvis, or kind of very active in that kind of lateral shift, or there's lack of rotation, for example, say through that kind of ribcage pelvis area, is the shoulder never gets back to its start position. So again, using that kind of 3D example now, we can see again, red trace, the path the shoulder moves back on, the orange trace, the path it moves then down on. You'll see where it turns yellow, it actually never gets back to its start position. So however that looks, say for example, in that kind of visual way, lead on that trail shoulder, as we move through back, as soon as they get back to their start position, the shoulder now is behind that kind of lead hand. So using this reference can be a wonderful way of exploring kind of how that trail shoulder moves in swing. Again, once more, hand on kind of trail shoulder as you move through backswing, as best you really can, keep that hand pretty much in its kind of start position. When we get back to impact, it's allowing that shoulder to then touch that hand when we then return back to impact.